أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم الحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. We begin with the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We praise him, we seek his aid, and we humbly ask that the prayers and peace be upon his noble messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We want to begin by first offering our condolences to the families of our deceased brother. I've done a lot of these janazas before, but this is the hardest one. And so bear with me. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I'm not going to hold you. But what I want to say is that we first want to thank you on behalf of the Muslim community in New York City and Massachusetts who knew Jack. We called him Yahya. Jack means Yahya in Arabic. And they send their condolences to you, sons, everyone who was close to him. You have our condolences. We definitely, without question, are feeling the pain. With that being said, we have a service that we have to perform, which is his right. And we want to thank the family for cooperating with us in order to ensure that he got his right. The sons, Joe Black and a few other individuals came and they assisted in the washing, the shrouding, and the actual perfuming of our beloved brother Jack. We just want to tell you that it is also something that we take into consideration, and we consider it very seriously that a family who is largely not Muslim would allow the rights to be observed without any complications. So we want to thank you, Charlie, thank you, Jill, thank you, Sherry, thank you all of the people who are responsible for making it happen. We cannot do this without your help. Your help was necessary. At the same time that your help was necessary, we also feel indebted to you for allowing us to be a part of it. And so some of you may not know, but they're part of your extended family. Some of you may have never met me, but I am that brother or nephew or cousin that you may have never met or you might have heard about or never even heard of, but you're meeting me today. And so, like Jack when he was alive, if you ever needed him, he was there. And so in his place, you have his brothers that he leaves behind that will act the same way that he would have acted had he been alive. As I mentioned to Charlie a couple of days ago, when he was calling himself thanking me, I said, no. I said, no. If it was me, he would be here the same way that I'm here for him. That's just goes without saying. That's just something that we were blessed to have, a relationship that only a God could determine. Because when you really look at it, the places in which we traveled together and met up together and got together, there were places that you would never even thought that me and him would have wound up together. And so we thank Allah, we thank the Creator for every blessing that we received. And my solace is the fact that what would my life been had I never met Jack? What would my life been had I never met the Hollingsworths? What would my life been had I never met his sons? What would my life been had I never met the people he loved and cared about? What would my life been? And so that's a solace for me, because in Islam we believe that every day of our life is determined by the Creator. The day we were born and the day we die. And you don't ask for either one of those. This is totally on the Creator himself, whatever your belief may be. The idea is that the Creator has control and power over all things, and for that we say, Allahu Akbar. And when we say that, we say it referencing the idea that we don't have no power in none of this. And so sometimes we have to go back to that in order to help us go forward. We have to think about the power of the Creator and remove ourselves from the situations. Our beloved brother Jack, he was the type of guy that didn't talk a whole lot. But if he had something to say, it would make a difference. And he didn't mind listening to anybody either. But we also had the attitude in which if someone was saying something we didn't like, we didn't have to say anything about it. That's their opinion. This is what made Jack such a genuine person. He was a very genuine person. And this is in his later life. We were reactionists when we were kids. When we were young men, we were reactionists. You couldn't get away with nothing when it came down to us. You would looked at us wrong, we had a problem. And then we learned the hard way. God was merciful to us for not allowing us to have to be somewhere for the rest of our lives. He blessed us to get out of that situation. And we began to become people who used our minds, and we were thinkers. We were thinking so much that people could be using us and not knowing we know they're using us. And we had a slogan that would say, the only reason why you're using me is because I'm letting you. And so his genuineness was things that got us over the border in a lot of situations. Because unlike him, I took a little bit longer to get out of the reactionist mode. So Jack would be there calming the situation down. I would want somebody's head, and Jack would be, hold on a second. Let me talk to him first. And doors would open for us. And so when we finally decided that we were going to do something different, I didn't tell him and he didn't tell me. When Allah blessed us to get out of that jail in Massachusetts, when he finally let us get out, we turned our lives around. And he was first. When he got here first, he was there at the train station to meet me when I got off the train. And he was able to take me wherever I needed to go in order to get my situation straight. And 6 months later, Joe Black gets out. And me and Joe Black, we didn't take the train or any of it. We were walking most of the time. And we spent a lot of time figuring this thing out. And no, we didn't go to clubs no more. We didn't do any of that stuff anymore. We were no longer reactionists. We were people who realized that the game wasn't all as what it seems. And that if you made it out of it, you were considered blessed. Amen. And Jack was our blessing. Because if we didn't have him, I think we might have went in another direction. So I'm going to stop with that, and I want to bring up the Mike, who's going to read the obituary. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the janazah prayer and the importance of it. Then we're going to pray for him, and then we're going to make our way to the cemetery. Amen. But before I do that, I want to thank every single one of you. Many of you in the room don't know what Jack said about you. But he had nothing but good to say. Jack wasn't the type of guy that said bad things about people. He didn't say stuff about people. He was the type of guy that always looked for your good. I'm telling you, in the same way Joe spoke to him, he spoke to me a whole lot. And he told me a lot of stuff. That's neither here nor there. The bottom line is that he loved you, and before he left here, you knew that he loved you. He showed you. Jack was about actions. Wasn't about a lot of talk, but you knew that he loved you just by virtue of what he did. And that was his way of practicing Islam. His way of practicing was not telling you all this stuff. He didn't have to tell you all what you shouldn't do and what you should not do and what he's able to do and what he's not able to do. He showed you in his actions. Look at all the people that he used to take care of. All the people he would bring food to on Sunday. Pick their chicken up. And they didn't want just one chicken. They wanted spicy this. They wanted this type of barbecue that. And we would go to these different places to get the chicken and bring it to them. Yeah. Every Sunday. Yeah. We had other things to do. But every Sunday he would do that religiously. This is the heart that he had. He was the kind of guy that would help anybody. Even people that he knew that didn't like him, he would help you too. So we are here to pray on his behalf, to pray that he gets salvation in the hereafter. Many of you have other beliefs, but you believe in the hereafter. You know that there's something after this. And many of you, I look at you in the audience, and I see my aunts, my uncles, I see my cousins, I see my brothers and sisters in the audience. We all come from the same chain. There was a time where we lived in this society where we weren't welcome. We're still not welcome now. And the only thing that we had to hang on to was our togetherness. Why are we so separate today? Why are we so engaged in the idea behind I don't like him and I don't like her? We don't like them. When in reality, that was the plot to keep us separate anyway. Many of you might have read the Willie Lynch letter, How to Make a Slave. This mentality was to pit us against each other all the time. So what happens to us? We're always looking for a way to be separate when we should be looking for ways in which we should be together. Let's start off by knowing that our circumstances were the same. We came from the same place and we're going to the same place. And so for all of those of the Christian faith or other faiths that are here, know for sure that if you love Jack, Jack didn't put that over you. He didn't care what you was. He did not care who you was and what you was doing, and whatever he was into, he didn't burden you with that. He called me out of nowhere and tell me, well, Ramadan's starting in a couple of days. And I'll be like, yeah, man. And he'll call me again the following year. And then he'll tell me about days he got to make up. Even when he was in the hospital, he'll tell me, yeah, I got to make up a couple of days. When Jack last saw me, the first thing he said to me a day after my birthday was happy belated birthday. How do you remember that? Because he wasn't the person that people might think that he forgot everything. My secretary was there with us in the car, and I cried like a baby. And I'm supposed to be this tough guy, this little tough image that we had. But see, he had the love that we had for each other to make you break down anywhere. I called Jill on the phone, I couldn't even talk. When she called me to explain it to me, I couldn't talk. She said, well, could you call Sherry? I said, I can't even talk. I can't talk. Because that's how deep it was. That's how deep it was. I pray Allah that we are able to live his legacy and that his sons are able to take up where he left off at. And without, this goes without saying, we are going to be here to help you along the way as long as Allah permits. Mike, could you please come up and read the obituary?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Peace and blessings to everyone here. I just want to say that Jack was an amazing person. Sickness and in health, he was amazing. In sickness and in health, Jack was an amazing person.
Yes, he was.
If you knew Jack, you knew the first thing you were going to see was his smile when he was glad to see you. That was the first thing he always greeted you with. It was either a smile or that funny smirk. Then he smiled, okay, after he assessed it. When he was talking about his food, one of the last things that Jack did was, I need chicken on the barbecue, I need some jerk chicken. He had this fetish for the jerk chicken and Eddie's. It was like, yo, we gotta go to Eddie's. And when Tony was talking about his memory, he would say, yo, yeah, we gotta go down this boulevard. And I actually let Jack direct me, which it kind of worked out in a funny way, but we finally got to the spot and he got his jerk chicken. And his character was always, regardless of what, I'm gonna make you laugh, I'm gonna make you smile, regardless of what the circumstances were. And that's one of the beautiful things of a memory. My fondest memories when I was 6 years old. And Jack was running around trying to give me a wart, because he had a wart on his finger. Back then we believed that you got warts from frogs. Yeah. So Jack was like, come here, I'm gonna put this wart on you. And I was running, I was scared. But then he started laughing and gave me a noogie. And there are many other memories that I share. some of you have fonder memories of his middle life. I'm in the beginning and I was in the end. And I'm grateful for the family, for my family, for Jill. Sherry, you did an amazing job. And sometimes people want their flowers. You want to give people their flowers because they're gone. But time is not our friend. And all I can say, and I'm going to read the obituary, is don't take it for granted that tomorrow's promised to you. Don't take it for granted that you're going to forgive somebody for something that happened, or forgive yourself and move forward. Many of us in this room live with regrets of our choices. You can't change that. You can only change the projections of your next step, of where you want to go. And Jack was always talking about, yeah, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
I'm coming home. I'll be home soon. I was like, yo, Jack, you're not locked up. It's cool, but I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I was like, yo, bro, you free? I said, I know, but I'm going to go back in and check in, but I'm coming home. And when I get there, we're going to fix this and that. And I said to him one day, I said, are you planning on going? He said, man, I'm going to get my license back. I'm going to drive. He was always projecting forward. If you really listen to him, he was projecting himself to where he was going to be. And he did it with a smile. How much more can we, with a person who had a surgery, who was challenged, but yet overcame that? What is our excuse? What is our real excuse?
Come on, man. That's
We
right.
give ourselves reasons and excuses for self-gratification or comfort. When you get out of your comfort zone, Jack was out of his comfort zone. And he made an adjustment to project forward. We got to do the same. So I'm going to get on and read the obituary. John Kennedy Hollingsworth, affectionately known as Jack, was born March 11, 1965, to Charlie and Linda, to join his older sister, completing their family, his older sister Jill, completing their family of 4. His early years were shaped by growing up in Webster Houses, a project in the South Bronx, in the city of New York, where he attended Montessori school and then went on to CES 132 to complete 3rd grade. In the midst of his formal education, he was also active in creative arts, attending classes in drumming, dance, singing, and karate. In more than one recital, he stole the show, singing Stevie Wonder's "You Are the Sunshine of My Life." Isn't she lovely? During yearly summer vacations from school, he would spend time in Greenwich, Connecticut with family, where he attended camp and was active at the Boys Club, which is how he became a strong, advanced swimmer. In 1974, his family moved from the South Bronx to Northeast Bronx, where life and community would open up new beginnings and avenues. This is where Jack would meet most of his lifelong brothers and become very popular. We know that for sure. Continuing his education, Jack attended PS 68, John Philip Sousa Junior High, and Samuel Gompers, later receiving a high school equivalency diploma in 1983. Jack met Sherry and her daughter Shakia in 1985, and Jack took on the role of being a father. They later went on to have Jante in 1990. For some years after, Jack would face some challenges in his life, separating him from his family. In 1996, things took a turn in his life for the better, and he worked at the Hunts Point Market until he found his passion for driving and became a courier. Jack met Angela in 1999, and out of that union, they were blessed with a son, Jonathan, in 2001. In 1998, he started working as a courier for Eddie Messenger Service. This became an opportunity with a tailored fit for him. He was a whiz with remembering routes, locations, and his charismatic personality and skill later earned him an offer to work within the company as a dispatcher, and later dispatcher supervisor. Jack obviously loved his job, so much that he had to be coaxed from working around the clock and encouraged to take vacations. During his early years at Eddie Messenger service, Jack met Denora. He would go on to be a father figure to her daughter, Denorca, and they had a son, John Lee, in 2007. Throughout his life, Jack has been known as a go-getter. However, his acts of kindness and caring for others cannot be discounted. He would take seniors to church, grocery shopping, shovel snow, as well as helping his honorary brothers find their way in life. Jack grew up to be an honorable man, mate, son, father, brother, and friend to anyone would be proud to know and claim. Jack leaves behind his father, Charlie, Georgia, his sister, Jill, Felix, his brother, Lawrence, Mandy, 3 sons, 2 daughters, and their mothers, Jonte, Jakia, Mother Sherry, Jonathan, Mother Angela, John Lee, and Denorca, Mother Denora. 3 grandchildren, Sean, Malia, and Kylie, and his niece, Jade. He is also survived by his aunt Yvonne and James, first cousins, Mark, Tracy, Cameron, Kimberly, William, Shandira, Gregory, Carol, Greg, Kylie, Brian, Nicole, Scott, and a host of second and third, fourth cousins. To those whom I love, those who love me, when I am gone, release me, let me go. I have so many things to see and do. You mustn't tie yourself to me with too many tears, but be thankful we had so many good years. I gave you my love, and you can only guess how much you've given me in happiness. I thank you for the love that you have shown, but now it's time I travel on alone. So grieve for me a while, if grieve you must. Then let your grief be comforted by trust. It is only for a while that we must part, so treasure the memories within your heart. I won't be far away, for life goes on, and if you need me, call, and I will come. Though you can't see or touch me, I will be near, and if you listen with your heart, you'll hear all my love around you soft and clear. And then when you come this way alone, I'll greet you with a smile and welcome you home.
Amen.
Takbir! 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 Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much. You know, I want y'all to understand that, and maybe you already do, but I need you to reflect on the idea behind the amazing life that our dear brother had. It was amazing because he met everything, he stood up to whatever was presented to him. He stood up to it. He didn't cry about it, he didn't cry about losses. He did everything he could to make himself better. And he had to do it the hard way. It wasn't the easy way. He didn't get no pass. It was the hard way. It wasn't like he was getting a whole lot of help from somewhere. He went out and he scraped and scraped and scraped, and he brought his personality, his sincerity, his kindness, his love for people into the room. And so for him to be taken out of our lives, the beauty of that is the fact that we were able to have him for the time that we had him. And if you got anything from him, please be sure to take that and pay it forward. So in Islam, if a Muslim dies, it is our obligation to ask, does he owe anybody that's here anything? And if he does, raise your hand and we will make sure you get straightened out. If Jack owed you anything, if you ever borrowed anything and he didn't pay you back, and you remember it, we're ready to settle it for you right now. Or at some point. We don't know what you're talking about. But the reality is that we're willing to straighten it out. Okay? And so I want to say this before we talk about what the janaza is. Someone has to come up for the reading. Who's coming up for the reading? Is there a reading? Jill?
Of the janaza?
No, the reading. It says reading here in the obituary. In the order of service. A reading?
No, I think that was just what Mike just did.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much. And so, to make my point, I want to say this to the sons. John Lee, John Tay, Jonathan, this is your uncle speaking. Now I say that because we're not talking from some street cred or my buddy from the street. We're not talking about somebody that just met. When John Tay was 2 days old, Jack put him in the car and brought him to my house. And I got somebody that wants you to meet. Y'all remember that? Summertime. He brought him over to the house. Now I was honored without question. And every time I got a chance, when I was in the university, because I had to do there was a course I didn't take, so I had to go back. I would call the house, and Linda would answer the phone, and she would put John Tay on the phone. And this went on for months. And John Tay would ask me at the end of the conversation, when are you coming to my house? And it would kill me to say, hey, God willing soon, And so those were the memories. John Tay would tell me the new words he learned, the new states that he became knowledgeable of, the numbers that he was doing, when he first learned how to do infractions, the different species of birds, the species of trees. Linda was teaching him. He didn't learn this in school. Linda was teaching him this. Okay? And so he would use that to bounce off me when I'd call. And she'd give the phone to him and let him go. Now you got to remember, the call was from Massachusetts. It wasn't from New York. So the bill was extremely high. But they valued me so much that they didn't mind. And I used to take, I used to have fond memories of that, but I took good pleasure in that as well. Because I knew that this was my brother and this was the family that were treating me just like I was their own. Took some years, and then I met John Lee, and then I finally met Jonathan, and again, they were just like my nephews. So I want to say this to you so that you can be clear on where we're going with this. You're going to grow up, and you're going to face some challenges. And these challenges that you're going to face, it's not going to be the end of you. You're going to stand up to those challenges, and I'm going to tell you how you're going to do it. Be genuine in everything that you do. And Allah will surround you with genuine people. So when you drop the ball, they're going to come forward and say, hey, wait a minute, the same way Jack did for me. See, I dropped the ball so many times, I got a PhD in blundering. And every time I dropped the ball, there was one person that I can call, and that was Jack. Genuine guy. Wasn't looking for nothing. No strings attached. A genuine guy. Not just in the 80s, but in the 90s, in the 2000s. Every year, year after year, he was there. And what happened with that? I returned the favor. Every time I got a chance, I made sure that I returned the favor, because that's what genuineness is about. So you surround yourself with genuine people. Don't feel bad if you got to cut something off, because you got to get to where you need to go. See, you thank me later, even though you don't want to part ways with those type of people, but you part ways with them because they're going to leave you hanging anyway.
Amen.
So you hang around the genuine ones, the real ones. And you get with those. You want to find out about your father? Go to the guys that was with him. Go talk to them. And they'll tell you about what it was when we were in tight situations and how we had each other. And it wasn't about a lot of talk. And then when we got out of that situation, we got into another situation on how to be squares. And guess what? We found out that we had the game wrong from the beginning.
Hey.
It was nothing to sacrifice ourselves for. That it was always about squaring up. It was always about doing something constructive. It was always about helping somebody. So I used to play with Jack, and I'll read the janaza to you. And I used to say, look at old gentleman Jack. Look at him now. You running around, you doing all these extra hours. Man, the money you making in a week, we was making in a couple of hours, man. What happened, man? Look at him now. And I used to say that to him all the time just to get with him, and he would turn the favor. Oh, look at him now. You see, you're running down there at that security job. You're running down there, now you're a super, player. You see? Oh, Tony Rome, you was running around with leather suits on back in the day. Now you're running around, you wearing khakis, man. You see? And we would joke at each other. And we knew that was our way of saying, see, they didn't get us, we got them. It's because the joint, what it does is they're satisfied, and Joe Black will tell you, they're satisfied with you coming in front of the parole board with a cane. Yes. They want to take the youth out of you. And they want to put you in a situation to where you'll continuously be dependent on the system once you're out. Yes. And they don't care nothing about any of that other stuff. All they care about is making sure you don't get to where you need to go in life. That you don't become independent. That you don't become your own man. That you don't create your own hours. That you don't take care of your family. They want to make sure that. When we got out of the joint, we didn't come out, we didn't have canes and all that. We were grateful. But we went right to work. We went right to work. We didn't ask nobody for nothing. We didn't wait for somebody to give us something. I remember when me and Joe was walking back and forth every week. And we were the little money we had, we was breaking it between us. And then when I came up, I was able to loan him something. When he came up, he was able to loan me something. We would buy each other shirts and stuff like that. This is what we did for each other. To keep us on track. To let each other know, listen, man, I understand what you're going through. And guess what? When Joe got into a spot, he called me and said, man, you need to get down here. No, not next week, get down here now. And I went down there and got into the school. And a couple of days later, he leaves the school. But he tells me, nah, man, you hang with that. I'm going to do something else, but I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm just going to get it somewhere else. And that's what we did. And we haven't looked back. And Jack was right there coaching us. So, in closing, I just want you to know, John Tay, John Lee, Jonathan, that we're here for you, and our resource is your resource. I don't know a better tribute to our beloved brother Jack, Yahya. I don't know a better tribute to him than to be able to help his sons. So if you ever need something, man, I don't care what it is. You know where I'm at. Y'all broke bread with me the other day. Y'all know where I'm at. You know where to find Joe. You know where we at, man. Bam is in the audience. You know what? You better find out how to find him. He done got himself straightened out. Look at him now.
Hey.
Look at him now. And me and Jack was going to go up there and get him out of Schenectady one year. Me and Jack. We called his family and said, hey, man, we're going to come up there and get him. We're going to do intervention with Bam. And Bam, before you know it, Bam got himself together. So y'all been there. Y'all know where I'm at. You know the address. Y'all want the keys to the place? I'll give them to you. Allah is my witness. You guys. And when I'm done with that place, I want one of y'all to take the place over. But when I'm done with it, man, that's how genuine this thing is. Make no mistake, man, it's for y'all, man. All that he did was for you guys. But not just one of you, all of you. All three of you. And his daughters. All of you. And his granddaughters. Precious granddaughter. She's something else, man. He loved her so much. Loved her so much, man, she done got me hooked. You know? But we are grateful, and you guys are going to be in our prayers. You guys are going to be, we're going to keep you close. Don't get distant. Our relationship was a little different. We didn't have to see each other every day to know that we had a serious love for each other. We didn't have to do that because we learned. because we spent a lot of time in the university when we was by ourselves. You see? So we had to go back for some other studies, and then we got out, we were able to put that into action. And so the janazah prayer is the most important prayer that you can ever make for the deceased. It's the greatest thing that you can ever do. For those who have a spiritual life, you know that there's accountability after this life. That life itself here is a transition. It's a place in which we leave one domain to go to another. So the spirit is lifted. It's lifted from this world, but it still exists. And so the existence of that particular spirit is awaiting judgment. The scales are going to be weighed. How much good the person did against how much bad they did. And so as Muslims, we pray for the salvation of that person. Jack could have given you $1 million in his lifetime, but it would never compare to what you're going to give him today in terms of this prayer. Why? Because you're asking the Creator to forgive him for all of his past, for the large sins and the small ones, for the first of them and the last of them, the things he did open and the things that he did secret, the mistakes he made, the things that he may have done out of spite, the things that he may have done out of forgetfulness, his negligence. You're going to be asking the Creator in this prayer to grant him salvation and protection in the grave from the torment. You're going to ask him for mercy in the hereafter. And ultimately you're going to ask that the Creator blesses him to gain a place in paradise. And so it's important for us to understand the virtue of this particular prayer. And for all of you here as witnesses, for those who participate in it, for those who pray a different way, you can pray for Jack any way you want. We're not telling you that it's a spooky thing. No, this is real. You have a faith as well. Ultimately, we're serving the same. So if you pray a certain way, that's fine. Go right ahead. We want to make sure that we clear our slate by making sure that he's prayed for properly and that he's laid to rest. And so with the janazah prayer, there are 4 takbirs. Takbir is when you say Allahu Akbar. And many of you know what that means. When you say here Allahu Akbar, it actually means Allah is greater than everything. Greater than my feelings, greater than my losses, greater than my gains, greater than where I come from, how much money I got, who I be with, Allahu Akbar. Who I'm not with, Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater. Why? Because it's telling you we can't be so locked in the world to where we're diverted. So the Creator is here to give us the indication that there is something greater than any of those things. And so because he returned to Allah, as we say that Allahu Akbar in sending him on his way. And it's not a goodbye, it's a farewell, and we are praying that we get a chance to see him again in the hereafter. So we pray that the Creator gives him salvation in the hereafter and that he reunites us there with him when it's our time. See, that's the prayer that you make. So the first takbir, we say the Al-Fatiha, which is in the back of this. And this is one of Jack's favorite prayers. Al-Fatiha. This is the prayer that you have to say in every prayer for the Muslims. And it goes, all praise is due to Allah, the Master, the controller of everything in existence. After saying with the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor and merciful redeemer. The Master of the Day of Accounts, thee alone we worship, your aid we seek, guide us to the straight path, the path of those who you've earned your grace, not the path of those who earn your wrath, nor the way of those who go astray. That's the Al-Fatiha. We say that at the beginning of the prayer. The first takbir, Allahu Akbar, that's 1, there's 4. The second one, we say Allahu Akbar, and that is the prayer that we say with regards to the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad. And we ask Allah to exalt Muhammad and the family of Muhammad the same way he exalted Abraham and the family of Abraham. Surely you are the praised and magnified. O Allah, bless Muhammad and the family of Muhammad the same way you blessed Abraham and the family of Abraham. Surely you are the praised and magnified. Then we say the third takbir. And this is a prayer, a time in the prayer where you ask the Creator to forgive our beloved brother. To forgive him as a father, as a brother, as a friend, as a servant of his. And whatever level his servitude was. That's what the whole prayer is about. Let me find out how many people here are perfect. Please stand to the right of your room. There's no perfect people. That's why we have prayer. That's why we have salvation. That's why we have repentance. Because we're not perfect, and the Creator knows His creation, so He gives us this as a means to get closer to Him. This is why He's wrapped in white. This is why He's washed and shrouded. To leave all the filth that was obtained throughout the world, the residues of the world. That's why the funeral for the Muslim is not extravagant. The funds that would have been spent for the family left behind is more of a use then to be sending it away with him. Because he can't use it now. He wouldn't want it. He didn't live like that either. He stopped living like that. We were some extravagant cats now. We were some young boys that was extravagant. I don't know about y'all, but we were some young boys that was some extravagant cats. We had to have everything. And it didn't matter. We had to have everything. But the Creator blessed us to see that it wasn't really all about that. Because when you sit in the penitentiary, all that money that you spent, what happens is you find out that you was working for like $1 a day against all the years you sitting in there. So you add it up. You say, well, man, that $5 grand I had, that 10 grand I had, well, that comes out to about $2 a day. When I could have just went on ahead and did something else. And so it's not extravagant. The prayer itself is about His salvation. So you ask the Creator to forgive him for all of those things that I mentioned. The fourth takbir, we say Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater than everything, is for who He leaves behind. I'm going to say that again. It's for who Jack leaves behind. And it's a prayer for the continued success of all of those people that loved him and that he knew that he loved them, or they loved him and he knew that they at least felt his love back. And for even those who didn't feel it because they didn't see him, a prayer is for them, for their continued salvation. That the prayer also extends to any of us that have some ill will or some bad feelings about each other. Because you love Jack, you need to squash it. And that whatever you're doing going forward, you want to work together to kind of heal each other. To make sure that we give the right advice to the children. That we're there, we're showing them that we're there for them properly. That they are successful in whatever endeavor that they go into. And if they hit a bump, that we're there to help them along the way. That's our job. And so the last takbir is for the salvation of those who he leaves behind. And so with that being said, I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank all of you for being present. I want you to know there's much love for you here. And even if you don't know me, we got love for you because you had love for our beloved brother who's laying there. And so that's your pass. All you got to do is say his name to me, you get a pass. Until you show me something different. And then I'll still give you a pass. But then I got to raise up on you a little bit. And so we want to thank all of you for being present. We want to thank Charlie. There's so many things I can say about Charlie, but I'll wait till we get a chance. Jill, we want to thank. You know, a lot of times we forget that the people in the end were people that really were trying to be of some assistance. Mike, you came out of nowhere, man. You came out of nowhere, man. And you came in, and one day when I left him that last time, I didn't feel right. There was something, my soul was uneasy. And I hugged him at the elevator. And I gave him this long hug, man. And one of the workers there looked over and said, "Oh, that's your brother?" And I said, "Yeah." And then he said, "Well, you look like him." I said, "Well, that's my brother. You should know who I am anyway. I've been coming here for so long, and you people act like y'all don't even know who I am." But I didn't bother about that because they were sending him upstairs to the nurse. And I knew the nurse wasn't going to do nothing for him. And I sat out there, and then I went home, and I was on the phone with Jill. And I think my secretary was with me, who knows Jack very well, because she would tell me, "When are we going to see Jack? What's up with you and Jack? When are we going to see Jack?" Right? And she would remind me, because we would get so caught up in stuff. And so she told me you were coming. But while I was in the car talking to her, I just broke down, man. I don't think anybody that works for me ever seen me crying. They think I'm some hardcore guy that's just woofing orders, right? But I cried because I didn't feel easy about it. I felt like my hands were cuffed up again. Like I was somewhere in the penitentiary and couldn't get out. Watching someone who I cared about go through what he was going through and he wasn't getting the help. And I knew he wasn't getting the right treatment. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank Sherry for all the times that going from the beginning, managing all the things that you managed. And I told you this before, but I want you to also know that that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to Joe. It meant a lot to the people that he meant a lot to. The family. I know Jack staying at the house and how he can get on your nerves and all that. I know all of that. And all of you, I thank all of you, you and your family, for your patience with him. And when they had him in the place up there in Middletown, I knew it was time for him to be there. I knew that. That's why it was no problem getting up there. It was no problem at all, but I didn't have no ill will or ill feelings about anybody. Even if you heard from me, it wasn't because I had some problems. It was because I had my own problems. And I was just fitting them in, making sure that I got in there when I could get in there and do all of those things. I'm saying that because you're going to be blessed for whatever you did. You're going to be blessed for that. But you know why you're going to be blessed for that? Because he was too good to too many people for you not to do something for him and not get blessed. That's how the Creator works. I don't care if you just had a conversation with him that kept him going. It helped him. You may have been just talking to him on a regular basis. And it was time for him. When it was time for him to go, it was time for him to go. That's what the Creator determined. Don't feel nothing. Feel like you did your job when it came down to him. And that you were blessed to just be a part of that. I don't know what I would have did had I been sitting in the university and something happened to him. But he made sure that me and Joe stayed out, man. He made sure. If we needed something, he would break his neck to give it to us. And you know what kind of friends we were? We wouldn't even ask him. We'd like, nah, man, we'll be all right. He'd be working 12-hour shifts, and I'd tell him I got to go to the airport. Oh, I'll take you. Well, come on, man, you ain't got to take me. But he wanted to make sure, it was like he was this guy that was protective of us. Wanted to make sure that we got to where we were supposed to go. In other words, I know you, man, you might get diverted. You see? And so, with that being said, I appreciate y'all listening. I thank you again for coming out, all of you. For those who we did not mention, we want to tell you that you are included in our prayer for the continued success of yourself and your family on behalf of the fact that you cared so much to be here for Jack. I would ask the Muslims to come up so that we can establish a janazah prayer on his behalf. And I also would ask all of you who have a faith discipline that you select to perform the prayer on your own. You make your own supplications on his behalf. But I want you to be generous in your prayers on his behalf. Assalamu alaikum. Come on, Dean. Look good, man. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. And thank you so much. Yeah. How you doing? How you been, man? Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're gonna be getting together and going. We're gonna be driving down by 3713 Rumbounds Avenue on our way to the cemetery. So those of you who are going to the cemetery, we're gonna be taking that route 233rd. We'll be in the front, and we're gonna go from 233rd to Dyer. Then we're gonna hit Rumbouts. We're gonna ride by the house. We're gonna ride by the house, and we'll get to the cemetery and we'll do what we gotta do there, and then we'll see if we can do something else after that, inshallah, God willing.
Amen. After, we'll be going, anybody that would like to swing by, if you can, we're gonna be doing a pickle toast, which was one of Jack's favorite things to eat in these latter times. Yeah! So we have a whole bunch of Klaus and dill pickles. We'll take juice shots or eat pickles. So please come by and enjoy. All right. Oh, at Outback, I'm sorry. Central,
Yeah, Central Avenue. Yeah, Central Avenue.
Central Avenue. Immediately following the cemetery, so we'll probably be there at about, what, 2 o'clock, Sherry?
Yeah.
Okay, about 2 o'clock.
That's not like this. It should be. All right. Hold out this one. Yes. All right. Go before you go. Go get Jabbar and have Jabbar bring her stuff. Bring it right to the door. All right, just Naeem, just clear the thing a little bit. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Listen, your word was powerful, lightning, true, strong, and that's what Jack wanted. He did your job.
Okay, I will have to ask
Somebody asked for one.
That's so much love. Come on, LJ. LJ, help us out.
Back in the chat room, if you're not directly involved with the translation.
The card okay?
When I get one of those. Yeah, too bad.
Okay, baby. So please give us a call. You have to know, all right?
He just gave
God bless you. Take Come in the cemetery.
Susie and her mom.
Okay.
So Susie and her mom can come?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Hey, Cheryl. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Can you get a card?
Jill, can I get a- Hi, baby.
Here, baby.
Long time.
Okay, and I'm gonna give you one of the obituaries. Okay. Let me get that. Hold on one second. All right, so I'm sorry, running around.
No, don't worry.
Oh, I got your back. Here you go. I'm looking for you.
Yeah, we'll talk.
So we live in Bronxwood. This month make 11 months.
All right, because we gotta get rid of the
Just recently
cemetery
bought a
by a certain
house.
time. All right.
We hanging in. It's time to go.
Wait, let me check.
So we're gonna go to the.
Frederick Douglass Memorial Park. Staten Island. Hold on one second.
Okay. The family. How's my girl? How's your daughter? She's okay. Another lady that was sick because the last time I spoke to her, she was pregnant. That must be a 2 pregnancy or
Everybody going to see it.
Oh, let me, I didn't go to the car.
Joe, you gotta get rolling, Joe.
Attention.
We've gotta get rolling, people.
All right, let's go. I'm so glad.